Okay, we've begun. Good morning, everyone. We're starting our live Hangout session, our student support session. So good morning, it's Joe Russo, your summer eClass principal. Just waiting for anyone to jump in on the actual live session. Please feel free to ask questions and we can go from there. Now, if I may, just start off by saying that we've had quite a surge of, or an influx, whatever word you want to use to describe what's happened, but a lot of students have made the transition to the summer eClass program. And so because of the volume, it has caused a little bit of a backlog. How you can help yourselves right away, first off and foremost, should you need to contact us, please dial the board's number and in particular use extension 2706. That's my personal extension. That's extension 2706. Best way to get a hold of me, let me say that again. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. But should you need to call in and speak with someone, we can try to get to all your calls. Again, at extension 2706. So right now, just a friendly reminder that if you are starting the course a bit late, not for any other reason other than you're registering late or you're waiting for your login information, you won't be held accountable in terms of not submitting your work on time. You may be a bit overwhelmed once you log in, you feel like you're behind. It's not a problem, just reach out to your teacher, send them an email and say, hi, I'm just logging in for the first time. I either registered late or I wasn't able to get a hold of a login, a password, and so that's the reason for the delay. So if you can please let me know what the calendar looks like, what the items that are outstanding, that are due by Monday are, and have that conversation, because your teachers are just delighted that you logged in and that you're active and engaged, but that you're excited to start your course. Okay, good morning. How's it going, Sebastian? All right, so I'm going to segue because a lot of you were asking, how do you reach your teacher? So I'm going to segue into an actual online course, and I'm going to identify where you can find your email. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, we'll go here. Okay, so we're actually in a live course right now. And so because you're in a live course, we can identify the space in terms of familiarity. I know some of your teachers have set up different images, different backgrounds, and that's fine, that's awesome. But in terms of the basics, in terms of the links and the forums and the different places to go, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to identify that I'm hoping right now that you can see my online course. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure here. Okay, it looks like I'm not displaying the right page, so just give me 1 second. There I am. Okay, so this is the page I wanted to display. So first and foremost, you were asking, how do I get a hold of my teacher? So I'm going to zoom in here. What you should look at is right up here. There is an email, sort of, it looks like an envelope, and this icon here is basically your message alerts. So if you click on this, you'll notice that you have an email link and you have a pager link. So pager is also another tool to get a hold of people within the course, including your teacher. So if I click on email, you'll be in your email that's related to your course. And that's it. So now what you can do is you can compose an email and get a hold of your teacher. So let's say, for example, we want to add your teacher right over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my address book. And in your address book, you should see a whole bunch of that are related to your course. So what I'm going to do is just wait for this to populate. Because of the fact that I have access to the whole system, it's probably trying to find a whole bunch of emails here. So I may get sort of timed out here. So I'm just going to stop this. And we're going to go back here. So in terms of a strategy, so I'm going to go to the class list. So if I go to class list, the other shortcut to emailing your teacher is if you go to class list, you can actually click on the teacher's name because it'll say username. It'll say, under role, it'll identify the teacher as a teacher. And then you can just click on their name. It goes directly into sending them an email. This is probably the easiest thing for you. So in terms of workflow, again, if you're trying to get a hold of a particular student or a particular, or your teacher, just go to your course's class list. And then once you're there, you'll identify the teacher because their role will be identified as teacher. And then just click on their name and that will send them an email. Okay? So I hope that helped. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Go back to the main image, which is me. Okay, so I'm going to cut to the chat here. Okay, Grace. What's up, Joe Russo? Thanks for that. My friend was planning on joining the online grade 9 geography, but she thought she had to take an in-person exam. No, grade 9s, the only face-to-face final exam is for grade 11 university level courses, okay? Those exams are scheduled for session 1 on July 27th at the board office. That's 80 Shepherd Avenue East, okay? However, she was just informed that the CPT is 30% of the mark. Is that possible for her to join now? We are accepting students in session 1 up until this Friday. And folks, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Because of the volume, because of the line, people are trying to call, people are trying to send us emails. Possible for you to walk in to our board office in the main lobby. We have 2 to 3 people that are just supporting students with logins and registration. We also have a teacher on site that is supporting students. They're sitting down with them. They're helping students navigate their online course. If it's possible for you to actually be here and get this all done, registration, login, getting to know your space, it would be best for you to drop in, okay? That's 80 Shepherd Avenue East. We're just, as soon as you walk in through the front doors, we are in the main lobby area, okay? Just looking at the chat, are there any other questions that want to come in? I'm just trying to think here. The other thing that we want to identify is that once you are logged in, the first thing you're going to want to do is reach out to your teacher and just say hello. Say, hi, I'm logging in for the first time. I'm really excited about this course. And I just wanted to let you know I'm active and I'm ready to go. Okay, that's the first simplest piece of advice I can give you. Just going to go to the chat again. Hi, sir. I'm wondering from Bernice. No problem, Grace. I'm wondering, when do we start each unit? So that's a question for your teacher, because your teacher is the one that's controlling the flow of the course. And so if there's a calendar that they've issued that identifies where you should be in terms of completing and submitting work, or participating in discussions, or completing online quizzes, they would be the ones to ask that question to. That's pretty much the simplest and most clear direction I can give you, is reach out to your teacher and let them know that you have a question about where you're supposed to be at and what is the clear timeline in terms of submissions, okay? Sharon, how do you submit work to Dropbox? Okay, and where can I find my journal from Sebastian? Let's start with Sharon again. So I'm going to go into the online space again. Okay. All right, so I'm going to select a course, and I'm going to go back to the course I was just showing you. So if you're trying to access your Dropbox, just find the Dropbox link. And then once you're there, you're going to choose the folder that you're supposed to be going to. And so let's say, for example, the folder that your teacher asked you to upload to Dropbox. let me say that again. The Dropbox folder you want to find so you can upload your assignment or your work. You would click on the folder. And then once you click on the folder, you're going to notice your name. Once you've noticed your name, all you have to do is upload the work in that particular space where your name is at. Okay? And that's it. That's how simple it is in terms of accessing Dropbox. Sebastian, where can I find my journal? I don't know. There's nothing here in terms of a link, an active link called journal. So that's a question for your teacher. Yeah. So in general, get some clarity around from your teacher around what is your journal, where is it located, how to access it, and how you're actually saving your own copy of your own journal. Okay. That's something that you're going to have to direct to your teacher. So you know what? Because Isabella, which courses have an exam? So like I mentioned previous, the courses that have final exams, all courses could potentially have final exams, depending on how they've been set up. The online exams that do happen are for courses that are not grade 12 university level courses. So only grade 12 university level courses will have a face-to-face exam at the board office on July 27th, okay, in the morning. More details, again, you can always get up-to-date information, program information at www.tcdsb.org/eClass, okay? Evangeline, are you supposed to study for online quizzes? Absolutely. You're always preparing. You're always, keeping track of your learning. You're always asking for feedback. Well, you're definitely preparing whether it be online or a face-to-face course. The only way you're going to experience more than just surface level understanding is you're going to need to prepare. You're going to need to review. You're going to need to practice. You're going to need to consult with your peers. You're going to need to ask questions. You're going to need to reach out to your teacher. You're going to need to complete many different iterations of your work. And that's just a fancy word for saying draft number 1, draft number 2, and constantly looking at your work, reviewing it, and improving it as much as you can before you submit it, okay? Or complete your quiz. Okay, no problem, Sebastian. Sayak, how do the assignments count towards your mark? Are they weighed as heavily as the quizzes? Great question. That is a very good question. And so what you're going to want to do is reach out to your teacher and have that conversation. They're the ones that are entering marks, are calculating marks, and they're the ones that can explain the different weights that they have assigned to each of your work items, okay? You can also ask for a detailed report that identifies what each item is worth, and that will help identify what your work is, how it's weighed, okay? Okay, so I hope that helps. Again, great questions, folks. Absolutely amazing questions, because I sure as heck would want to know where I stood in my course every single day, not just to inspire me and motivate me, but again, to keep me in touch with how I'm doing, right? And then if I know how I'm doing, I have that clear direction as to how I want to improve, where I want to go, and what do I want to accomplish before the end of this course, okay? Next question, are there any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to wait for the chat area. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, so I know that some of you may have moved courses because we're balancing courses, because again, I mentioned we have a whole bunch of new students that are trying to register and still are trying to register. If you notice that you've been switched to another teacher, it wasn't intentional other than to balance courses, okay? So please, folks, make sure that you just continue with your course that you've been placed in. And if you've got any questions, you have my direct email. I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. Okay, just looking at the chat. Or just responding. Let others No. Okay, just responding, sorry. Okay, just looking at the chat again. Sayak, how do you study for online quizzes? That's a great question. How do you study for online quizzes? How do you study for day school quizzes? The fact of the matter is, you know, we become better and better learners over time. And I can assure you that I can talk to how I prepare as a learner. What I do first and foremost is I always write stuff down. Even if some people think that writing stuff down is just a waste of time, for me, the act of writing stuff down just helps me retain the information, helps me think about the information, and helps me process. The other thing I would do is I would reach out to other colleagues, other classmates rather, within the course. And I would talk it over with them. And you know, if you've got a particular set of questions that you want, you know, some direction on, I would reach out to your teacher and say, Miss, sir, could we create a discussion forum about assignment number 3? Because I'm sure other people have questions. And you can even post your question there and maybe others would respond. Or better yet, if other students have questions, maybe you can respond to them as well. And that, my friends, is how you network, how you learn from one another, how you support one another, and how you create community. Not just a community, a Catholic community where you're, you know, being respectful and awesome digital citizens in terms of how you're relating to one another in an online space, but also how you're learning together and moving along this journey, supporting one another, and really driving your learning. You know, your voice is what's going to help you. As students, if you can actually provide those questions, if you can provide how your teacher can help you, then that's offering the teacher support in terms of how they can design activities, how they can set up the online environment to respond to your needs. So how do you prepare? Like I mentioned, I'll go back to, I kind of mentioned a couple of big points there. Always process information by writing stuff down and then reviewing that stuff that I write down and trying to ask questions about how to connect what I've learned or what knowledge and information I've acquired, and how does it apply to different situations? How does it apply to the assignments that my teachers are sharing? How is it even relevant to what I want to do next? You know, and these are questions that I keep asking myself, and that's how I prepare. The other piece of advice I was going to give you, or I did give you, is always connect with others, and whether it be in a discussion forum or your own teacher, and be very clear on the questions that you have. So first process that information like I suggested and write stuff down for yourself. And then once you've had that independent time, then you're going to want to reach out to your classmates, you're going to want to reach out to your teachers. Questions, okay? So I noticed that Sharon is asking, how do you contact your teacher? The easiest thing to do, Sharon, that we identified as a group at the beginning of this broadcast, the easiest thing to do is in your class, there should be a link that's called class list. Click on the class list link. And then once you're there, there's going to be all of your classmates. And then you'll also be able to identify the teacher, because the role of the teacher is going to be stated as teacher. Then once you find the teacher, just click on their name. If you click on their name, that allows you to send them an email within the course. Okay? That's it. Okay? I'm just looking at the chat area. Are there any other questions? Okay. The other thing I want to mention is some of you have been inquiring about how to get your marks transferred over to or to complete the application process for university or college. So Toronto Catholic students, your marks are going to be automatically transferred at the end of the program. So our IT department transfers marks to the OCAS and to OUAC. And for non-TCDSB kids, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come and pick up your report card at the board office. And once you pick up your report card, you have to take it to your board, and then they will process that information. and they'll send over, they'll transfer over the marks, our program over to OCAS or OUF. Okay. The other thing I want to mention is in relation to the drop date of your course without academic penalty. So right now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a sense of where you stand every single day. Midterms are going to be processed within a couple of weeks, so time is going to really go by quickly. And so what you're going to want to do is, if you think that you're thinking of not completing your course, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop or request a drop. You can even request it through me directly. You're going to want to request a drop. Let me just pull up the calendar here. You're going to want to request a drop by Friday, July 21st. Okay? Or alternatively, if you think you want to take the course over again, we do have session 2. In session 2, coincidentally, the last day to register for session 2 is again Friday, July 21st, because it starts on Tuesday, July the 18th. However, please note, if you are not going to complete your session 1 course, you will be officially demitted from that course, and you will start all over again right from the beginning of the course for session 2. So there won't be any carryover, and you're not going to get the same teacher. The assignments are not going to be the same. The work's not going to be the same. So you're literally having to make that decision that you might want to start in session 2, but you're starting all over again. Okay, so I wanted to be clear on that. So I guess Friday, July the 21st is a really important date. Whether you want to drop a course without academic penalty, or if you want to take it all over again in session 2, which starts on July the 18th. Got a question in here from Evangeline. What if you have a question about the assignment for your teacher and you email him or her, but they don't respond and the assignment reaches the due date? Awesome question. So what I'm recommending is, again, you send that email, and that email has a timestamp. So if you've got that clear evidence that you've emailed a question before the assignment, you want to just remind your teacher that you were hopeful that you reached out before the due date and that you needed that clarification, and they'll respond. I'm sure they'll work with you. It's not a problem, okay? Great question, though. Evangeline, if I may add to that, let's always try to be proactive and not cut it too close, right, to these due dates. So I would suggest that you're always in your course, you're up to date, you know when things are due, you know when things are happening. And if you think you need that clarification, you should reach out to your teacher. You know, you're cutting it close the day of. I would suggest at least a day in advance, okay, to give them time, because they're dealing with a significant volume of questions that could come in at any time. Okay, so if you're going to communicate stuff, you always try to communicate earlier than later. Okay, last minute is really hard for everyone. Okay, Rangana, do we have quizzes every week? Again, it depends on how your teacher set up your course, right? There may be, there may be a quiz a day just to keep you engaged as a diagnostic. The other day, there may be an assignment. There may be, that is information that you're going to get from your teacher. So if you're still unclear, you're going to want to send your teacher an email, and you're going to want to send them a request saying, nice to meet you. I'm really excited, obviously, about being in this course, but I'd appreciate it if we had a calendar, or if we can have a listing of 2 to 3 days in advance of what is expected of us. That way you can organize yourself, but I'm 100% sure that each teacher is doing that already, just to give them their own peace of mind around what their course is supposed to look like, feel like, and even so that they're organized and can control the workflow to better support each and every student. So that's just a suggestion on my end. Okay. I can see that these live sessions are pretty helpful, and I really appreciate the fact that you're interested and you're making yourself available, because when you join these live sessions and ask your questions, you're helping other students as well, because when I share the broadcast and other students who couldn't join us now are able to review and watch, they're learning from your questions because I'm sure they have questions as well. Okay. So folks, I'm going to end it there. Just, coming up on the half-hour mark. Last question here from Sharon. Can someone register for an online class? When is the deadline? Okay, so Sharon's joining us a bit late. We did talk about that, but I'm going to wrap it up by identifying if you are a non-TCDSB student, what you're going to want to do is go to our eClass website. So non-TCDSB student, you're going to go to www.tcdsb.org/eClass, and you're going to want to register online first. And then from there, you're going to wait for an acceptance email. And then from there, you're going to want to bring in all of your paperwork, which would require basically your credit counseling summary and also your signed registration form, because we need to verify your OEN. We need to verify that you have the prerequisite courses or course to take the course that you're requesting. If you're a Toronto Catholic student, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to identify yourself as a Toronto Catholic student, and then we will try to process your request. At this time, folks, I'm highly recommending that we look at session 2. We are looking to accept students into session 1 until this Friday, but again, by Friday, you're already missing a few days of class. So it's my recommendation, my personal recommendation for your own success or likelihood of setting yourself up for success is to consider registering for session 2. Session 2 begins July 18th and ends August 14th, okay? So just to clarify, you can register for session 1, non-TCDSB online through the eClass website, and then wait for an acceptance email. Make sure you have your credit counseling summary handy, have your registration form signed, drop everything off at the board office in a timely manner by Friday. For TCDSB, send us an email, identify yourself as a TCDSB student, and include your OEN, your network ID, and then by this Friday, you can still try and register for session 1. For session 2, same process, just that the deadline for session 2 would be July 18th. Okay? So with that, folks, this is not my last live broadcast. I'll try to make time to get back online again, okay? And that's it. So bye for now, and I wish you guys a great day. Keep in touch, and all the very best. Bye-bye.